Welcome back to United Daily Updates, your number one trusted source for Manchester United news. Hello everyone and welcome back to United Daily Updates, the YouTube channel that brings you all the latest Manchester United news every single day. If you are new here, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We are building a community of passionate Manchester United fans who come together to discuss everything about our beloved club. This is not just another football channel filled with clickbait and rumours. This is your trusted source for accurate information, thoughtful analysis, and honest discussion about Manchester United Football Club. Today we are going to dive into an exciting transfer story that has just emerged. While everyone has been focused on the defence and the Marc Guéhi situation, there is now news about another potential signing. This time we are talking about the midfield. And the player in question is from the Netherlands. His name is Quinten Timber. He plays for Feyenoord. And what makes this story particularly interesting is that he could be available for a bargain price in January. But as always with Manchester United transfer stories, nothing is simple. There is competition. Arsenal want him. West Ham United want him. And Borussia Dortmund are apparently leading the race to sign him. So United have a fight on their hands if they really want this player. Let me ask you something before we dive deep into this story. Have you heard of Quinten Timber before today? Do you know anything about his playing style? Do you think Manchester United should be looking at players from the Dutch league? Can United compete with Borussia Dortmund for his signature? These are important questions we need to explore. Stick with me because we are going to cover everything you need to know about Quinten Timber, why Manchester United want him, who they are competing against, and whether this transfer makes sense for the club. This is going to be detailed and informative. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Why Manchester United need another midfielder. Before we talk about who Quinten Timber is, we need to understand why Manchester United are even looking at midfielders in the first place. What is going on with the midfield at Old Trafford? The simple answer is that the midfield is not good enough. This is not a new problem. United fans have been complaining about the midfield for years. Even with all the money spent on transfers over the last few seasons, the midfield still does not feel right. It still does not control games the way the best teams in Europe control games. Think about when you watch Manchester United play. How often do you feel comfortable with the midfield performance? How often do you think the midfield is controlling the game and dictating the tempo? If you are being honest, probably not very often. The midfield gets overrun in big games. It struggles to create chances in tight games. It lacks consistency. Ruben Amorim knows this is a problem. He has been appointed as the new Manchester United manager and he has been watching the team very carefully. He has identified the midfield as one of the key areas that need strengthening. According to sources close to the club, Amorim wants to bring in two new midfielders. One in the January transfer window and another in the summer transfer window. This tells you how serious the problem is. The new manager is not talking about just tweaking things or working with what he has. He wants to bring in two new players. He wants to upgrade the midfield significantly. He has a plan and he is working with the club's recruitment team to identify the right targets. Now we have already talked about Ayoub Bouadi from Lille in a previous video. He is an 18-year-old midfielder who United are watching closely. We have also discussed interest in Premier League midfielders like Elliot Anderson from Newcastle, Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace, and Carlos Baleba from Brighton. These are all talented players who could improve United. But now a new name has entered the conversation. Quinten Timber from Feyenoord. And what makes him particularly interesting is the contract situation. His deal with Feyenoord expires at the end of this season. This means he could be available for a much lower price than usual. For a club trying to be smart with money, this is very attractive. So United are not just looking at one or two midfielders. They are looking at many options. They are doing their homework. They are trying to identify the best value for money. And Quinten Timber has emerged as one of the names on the list. Who is Quinten Timber and why should you care? Let me introduce you properly to Quinten Timber because many of you probably have not heard of him before. He is 24 years old. He is Dutch. He plays for Feyenoord, which is one of the biggest clubs in the Netherlands. He is a central midfielder. And here is something really interesting that you might not know. He has a twin brother who plays professional football at the highest level. Yes, Quinten Timber has an identical twin brother. His name is Jurrien Timber. And Jurrien plays for Arsenal in the Premier League. So these two brothers both made it to the top level of professional football. That is quite rare and quite remarkable when you think about it. How many sets of twins do you know who both play in top European leagues? The Timber twins started their football journey together. They both came through the youth system at a small Dutch club called De Trots van Zuid. Then in 2014, when they were just 13 years old, they both joined the famous Ajax Amsterdam Academy. Ajax is known around the world for producing exceptional young talent. Players like Johan Cruyff, Marco van Basten, Dennis Bergkamp, Wesley Sneijder, and more recently Frenkie de Jong and Matthijs de Ligt all came through the Ajax system. Both Quinten and Jurriën developed at Ajax. But their paths started to diverge as they got older. Jurriën stayed at Ajax and managed to break into the first team. He became a regular starter. He impressed everyone with his performances at right back and centre back. Eventually Arsenal came calling and signed him for around €40 million. He moved to the Premier League and has done well there. Quinten took a different route. Breaking into the Ajax first team was very difficult because of all the competition. There were so many talented players fighting for places. So in 2021, Quinten made a smart decision. He left Ajax and joined FC Utrecht. Utrecht is a decent club in the Netherlands but not as big as Ajax. However, they could offer Quinten something Ajax could not: regular first-team football. This move worked out perfectly for Quinten. He played regularly at Utrecht. He developed his game. He showed what he could do when given the opportunity. He impressed people with his performances. And his good form caught the attention of Feyenoord. In 2022, Feyenoord decided to sign Quinten Timber. This was a big move for him. Feyenoord are one of the three traditional giants of Dutch football along with Ajax and PSV Eindhoven. They have a massive fan base. They play in a huge stadium. They compete for trophies every season. For Quinten, joining Feyenoord was a step up and a chance to prove himself at a bigger club. Since joining Feyenoord, Quinten has been a key player for them. He established himself as one of the best midfielders in the Eredivisie. He helped Feyenoord compete for the league title. He performed well in European competitions. And his consistent performances earned him call-ups to the Netherlands national team. However, last season was difficult for Quinten. He suffered from injury problems. He could not play as much as he wanted. He missed a lot of games. For any professional footballer, injuries are incredibly frustrating. You train hard every day. You want to help your team. But your body lets you down. This was a tough period for Quinten. Thankfully, this season he is fit and healthy again. He is back to playing regularly for Feyenoord. He is helping them compete for the Eredivisie title once again. In 14 appearances across all competitions this season, he has scored 2 goals and provided 1 assist. These are decent numbers for a central midfielder who is not primarily there to score goals. His performances have also helped him stay involved with the Netherlands national team. Being an international player is important. It shows that you are performing at a high level. It shows that the national team coach trusts you. And for a player hoping to move to a bigger club, international experience adds to your value. So that is who Quinten Timber is. A 24-year-old Dutch international midfielder playing for Feyenoord. The twin brother of Arsenal's Jurriën Timber. A player who has proven himself in the Netherlands and is now attracting interest from bigger clubs across Europe. What kind of player is Quinten Timber? Now let's get into the important details. What kind of midfielder is Quinten Timber? What are his strengths and weaknesses? What would he bring to Manchester United if he joined? Quinten Timber is primarily a central midfielder. He plays in the middle of the park where he can influence the game in both directions. He is not a defensive midfielder who sits in front of the back four all the time. He is not an attacking midfielder who plays right behind the striker. He is somewhere in between. He operates as what people call a box-to-box midfielder or a number 8. One of his biggest strengths is his passing ability. Timber is a very good passer of the football. He can play short passes to keep the ball moving and maintain possession. He can play medium-range passes to switch the play or find teammates between the lines. And he can play longer passes to start counter-attacks or find players in advanced positions. His passing range is quite good for a player at his level. His vision is also impressive. He can see passes that other players might miss. He can spot teammates making runs. He can find pockets of space to play into. This kind of vision is important for a midfielder because you need to be able to unlock defenses with your passing. You need to be able to create chances for your teammates. Technical ability on the ball is another strength. Timber is comfortable when he receives the ball even under pressure. He has a good first touch. He can control the ball quickly and look for his next action. He can turn away from opponents. He can dribble past players when needed. These technical qualities are essential for a modern midfielder. Energy and work rate are key parts of his game. Timber covers a lot of ground during matches. He does not just stay in one area. He can get forward to support attacks. He can also track back to help defend. This ability to contribute at both ends of the pitch makes him valuable. Every manager loves a midfielder who can attack and defend. Defensively, he is willing to put in the work. He will make tackles. He will press opponents. He will compete for second balls. He understands that being a midfielder is not just about the attacking side of the game. You need to defend as well. You need to win the ball back for your team. Timber does this work even if it is not the glamorous part of football. His positioning and tactical awareness are good for a player of his age and experience. He knows where to be on the pitch. He understands space. He makes intelligent runs. He does not waste energy running into the wrong areas. This football intelligence is a sign that he thinks about the game and understands it well. Physically, Timber is a decent athlete. He is not the biggest midfielder you will ever see. He is not the strongest. But he is quick enough and strong enough to compete in the Eredivisie. The question would be whether he could handle the much more intense physical demands of the Premier League. If we talk about areas where he could improve, goal scoring would be one. 2 goals in 14 games this season is not bad, but it is not amazing either. For a midfielder who gets into advanced positions, you would want more goals and assists. This is something he would need to work on if he moved to a bigger league where the expectations are higher. Another area of concern is how he would adapt to the Premier League. The Eredivisie is a good league. It produces talented players. But it is not as intense as the Premier League. The pace is slower. The defenders are not as big or strong. The pressing is not as aggressive. Players who dominate in the Eredivisie sometimes struggle when they move to England. This is a genuine risk. Overall, Quinten Timber is a well-rounded central midfielder. He can pass, he can run, he can tackle, he can create. He is the kind of player who does a bit of everything rather than being exceptional at one thing. He keeps the team ticking over. He helps in multiple phases of play. This versatility and reliability is why clubs are interested in him. Why Manchester United are interested in Quinten Timber. So why are Manchester United specifically interested in signing Quinten Timber? What makes him attractive to the club? Let's break down the reasons. The first and most obvious reason is the contract situation. This is huge. Timber's contract with Feyenoord expires at the end of this season. In just a few months, he will be a free agent. He will be able to leave Feyenoord and join any club he wants without a transfer fee being paid. This puts Feyenoord in a very difficult position. They either sell him in January for some money or they lose him for free in the summer. For Manchester United, this creates a golden opportunity. They could potentially sign a 24-year-old international midfielder for a fraction of what he would normally cost. Instead of paying 40 or 50 million pounds for a midfielder, they might be able to get Timber for 15 or 20 million in January. Or they could wait until the summer and sign him on a free transfer paying nothing to Feyenoord. From a financial perspective, this makes a lot of sense. The second reason is that Timber fits the profile of what United are looking for in midfield. Ruben Amorim wants midfielders who can control possession, who can pass the ball well and keep it moving, who have good technical ability, who can work hard and press opponents. Timber ticks all of these boxes. His playing style matches what Amorim is trying to build. The third reason is his age. At 24 years old, Timber is at a really good stage of his career. He is young enough that he still has his best years ahead of him. A midfielder can play at the top level until their early 30s. So United could get 7 or 8 years from Timber. But he is also experienced enough that he is not a raw youngster who needs years to develop. He has already played over 100 games at a decent level. He is ready to contribute immediately. The fourth reason is versatility. Timber can play in different positions across the midfield. He can play as a number 8. He can play slightly deeper if needed. He can play in a 2-man midfield or a 3-man midfield. This flexibility is valuable because it gives the manager options. It means one player can fill multiple roles depending on the opponent or the game situation. The fifth reason is his mentality and character. Timber has fought his way to where he is. He left Ajax because he needed playing time. He went to Utrecht and proved himself. He earned his move to Feyenoord. He overcame injuries last season to come back strong this year. This shows resilience and determination. It shows he has the right mentality. Manchester United need players with strong characters who will not give up when things get difficult. The sixth reason is wages. Players coming from the Eredivisie do not earn enormous salaries like Premier League players do. Timber would be getting a significant pay rise by joining United, but his wage demands would be reasonable compared to some other potential signings. This helps United stay within financial fair play limits. It allows them to spend money on multiple players rather than using the entire budget on one big signing. The seventh reason is reducing financial risk. Because the transfer fee would be low or even zero, United would not be taking a huge financial gamble. If the move does not work out, they have not wasted 60 or 70 million pounds. They can move him on without suffering a massive financial loss. This kind of smart low-risk business is what United should be doing more often. However, there are legitimate questions and concerns about this potential signing. The biggest one is whether Timber can handle the step up from the Eredivisie to the Premier League. The Premier League is significantly more intense. The defenders are bigger and stronger. The pace of the game is faster. The pressing is more aggressive. Not every player can make this transition successfully. There are plenty of examples of players who dominated in Holland but struggled in England. Another question is whether his technical ability would be enough in the Premier League. What works in the Eredivisie does not always work in England. The space is tighter. Teams press more. You have less time on the ball. Timber would need to show he can perform under this increased pressure. Despite these concerns, Manchester United clearly believe the potential reward is worth the risk. The low cost makes it a gamble worth taking. If it works out, they have found an absolute bargain. If it does not work out, they have not damaged the club financially. The competition from Arsenal, West Ham, and Borussia Dortmund. Manchester United are not the only club interested in Quinten Timber. According to the report, there are 3 other clubs actively pursuing him: Arsenal, West Ham United, and Borussia Dortmund. Let's talk about each of these competitors and what they can offer. Arsenal's interest is particularly fascinating because of the twin brother connection. Quinten's identical twin Jurriën already plays for Arsenal. Imagine if both twins ended up at the Emirates Stadium playing for the same club. That would be quite a story. It does not happen often that twin brothers both play for the same top club. Arsenal have apparently been keeping a close eye on Quinten since they signed Jurriën. They know all about him. They have probably watched him play many times. They have done their homework. The scouting reports are probably sitting in a file somewhere at the club. For Quinten, joining Arsenal would mean reuniting with his brother. They could live near each other. They could train together every day. They could play in the same team. For some players, having family close by is really important. It makes adjusting to a new environment much easier. When you move to a new country and a new league, having your brother there for support could be invaluable. This family connection gives Arsenal a unique advantage in this transfer race. No other club can offer what Arsenal can offer in terms of being with his twin brother. This emotional pull should not be underestimated. Family matters to people. It matters to footballers too. However, there is a significant problem with the Arsenal option. The report specifically points out that Arsenal do not really need another midfielder right now. They have Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice as their first-choice midfield pairing. These are 2 excellent players. Zubimendi was one of the most highly rated midfielders in Europe before Arsenal signed him. Declan Rice cost Arsenal £105 million. These are established world-class midfielders who will start every important game. Arsenal also have Christian Norgård as a backup option. So they have 3 good midfielders already. Their midfield is well stocked. Signing another midfielder is not a priority for them. It would just add more competition for places. What does this mean for Quinten if he joins Arsenal? It probably means he would not play regularly. He would be a squad player. He would get minutes here and there in easier games or when someone is injured. But he would not be a guaranteed starter. He would spend time on the bench. For a 24-year-old player who should be in his prime, this is not ideal. You need to be playing regularly at this age. You need minutes to develop and improve. Sitting on the bench watching others play does not help your career. It also would not help his chances of staying in the Netherlands national team. The national team coach wants to see his players performing regularly at club level. So while the twin brother storyline is nice and would get a lot of media attention, Arsenal might not actually be the best career move for Quinten Timber. This is an important point to remember. Now let's talk about West Ham United. They are having a terrible season. They are in a relegation battle. They are fighting to stay in the Premier League. Their manager Nuno Espirito Santo desperately needs help. The squad needs strengthening across multiple positions. The midfield is one area where they particularly need improvement. For West Ham, signing Quinten Timber would make sense. He would improve their midfield. He could help them win more games. He could be the difference between staying up and going down. They need quality players and Timber would bring quality. West Ham could also offer Timber something that Arsenal probably cannot. Guaranteed playing time. If Timber joins West Ham, he would almost certainly be a regular starter. He might even be the best midfielder at the club. He would play every week. He would be important to the team. For a player who values playing time, this is attractive. The problem with West Ham is everything else. They are not a glamorous club. They do not have the history and prestige of Manchester United or Arsenal. They are fighting relegation, which is incredibly stressful. If they go down to the Championship, Timber's career would take a serious hit. Playing in the Championship is not where a 24-year-old international player should be. The wages at West Ham would also be lower than at Manchester United or Arsenal. West Ham simply cannot compete financially with the bigger clubs. They can offer decent money but not exceptional money. For most players, West Ham would be a last resort option. You would only go there if no bigger clubs wanted you or if you were desperate for playing time. Timber has better options than West Ham. Finally, let's talk about Borussia Dortmund. This is the most serious threat to Manchester United. The report states that Dortmund are currently leading the race for Timber's signature. They are ready to accelerate their efforts to sign him in the January transfer window. This should worry United. Dortmund are a huge club. They are one of the biggest in Germany. They have won the Bundesliga multiple times. They regularly compete in the Champions League. They have a massive stadium that holds over 80,000 fans. They have one of the most passionate fan bases in world football. The atmosphere at Signal Iduna Park is incredible. Dortmund also have an excellent reputation for developing young players. They have a clear track record of taking talented youngsters, giving them opportunities, helping them develop, and then selling them to even bigger clubs for huge profits. The most recent example is Jude Bellingham. He joined Dortmund from Birmingham City as a teenager. He developed into one of the best young midfielders in the world. Then Real Madrid signed him for over €100 million. For Quinten Timber, Dortmund could offer several attractive things. Champions League football. A clear pathway to the first team. A club that would help him develop further. Experience playing in a top league. A stepping stone to an even bigger club in the future. These are all compelling reasons to choose Dortmund. The Bundesliga might also be a better fit for Timber than the Premier League. The Bundesliga is still a top league but perhaps slightly less physically intense than the Premier League. This might give Timber more time to adapt. He could develop his game in a top league without quite as much pressure as he would face in England. Dortmund can also offer good wages. Not Premier League level perhaps, but good enough. And living in Dortmund would be a nice experience. It is a good city with a lower cost of living than London or Manchester. So Borussia Dortmund represent the biggest threat to Manchester United in this transfer race. If Dortmund really want Timber and push hard to sign him, it will be very difficult for United to compete. United would need to act quickly and make a very compelling case to the player about why Old Trafford is the better choice. What Manchester United can offer to win this race. So how can Manchester United win this transfer battle? What can they offer Quinten Timber that might convince him to choose Old Trafford over Arsenal, West Ham, or Borussia Dortmund? First and foremost, Manchester United are one of the biggest clubs in world football. The history is incredible. The tradition is unmatched. The global fan base is massive. Playing for Manchester United means something special. Wearing that famous red shirt with the number on the back is a dream for millions of football fans around the world. This prestige and status still matters even if United have not won major trophies recently. Second, the Premier League. If Timber wants to play in the best league in the world, only United, Arsenal, and West Ham can offer that from his options. The Premier League is where the best players want to be. It has the most attention globally. It has the most money. It has the best atmosphere in stadiums. Every game is watched by millions of people around the world. Success in the Premier League makes you famous worldwide. Third, wages. Manchester United can offer very competitive wages. They have enormous financial resources. They can pay salaries that match or exceed what almost any club in the world can pay. While money should not be the only factor in choosing a club, it certainly is a factor. Players have short careers. They need to maximize their earnings while they can. United can offer an excellent financial package that would set Timber up for life. Fourth, the project under Ruben Amorim. Manchester United are rebuilding. They have appointed an exciting young manager with a clear vision. They are trying to create something special. Being part of that rebuild from the early stages is exciting. Timber would not just be another player joining an established team. He would be one of the key pieces in building something new. He could be part of United's return to the top of English and European football. That is an appealing story for an ambitious player. Fifth, playing time. This is crucial. At Arsenal, Timber would probably sit on the bench. At West Ham, he would play but for a struggling team. At Dortmund, he would compete with other talented midfielders. But at Manchester United, he could be a regular starter. The midfield needs strengthening desperately. Timber would have a real opportunity to establish himself as an important player. Guaranteed playing time is extremely valuable, especially with a World Cup coming up in 2026. Timber needs to play regularly to maintain his place in the Netherlands squad. Sixth, the global platform that Manchester United provide. United have fans in every country. The exposure is incredible. If Timber succeeds at United, he becomes a global superstar. This opens doors for commercial opportunities, sponsorships, endorsements, and a higher profile. Success at United can set you up financially for the rest of your life through these commercial opportunities. Seventh, the Premier League experience would help his international career. If Timber wants to cement his place in the Netherlands national team for the 2026 World Cup, playing in the Premier League every week helps. He would be in the spotlight constantly. The Netherlands coach can watch him easily. He would be competing against the best players in the world every week, which would improve him as a player. However, United also have negatives to overcome. They are not in the Champions League right now. They are not competing for the Premier League title. They are a club in transition and rebuilding. For a player in his prime years, joining a club in transition is a risk. What if the rebuild does not work? What if United continue to struggle? United need to be honest with Timber about these challenges, but also paint an exciting picture of the future. They need to show him the plan. They need to introduce him to Ruben Amorim and let Amorim explain his vision. They need to make him feel wanted and important. They need to convince him that joining United now, at the start of this new project, is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. What Feyenoord think about losing their star midfielder? Let's think about this situation from Feyenoord's perspective for a moment. They are in a very difficult position. What are they thinking about potentially losing Quinten Timber? Feyenoord know that Timber is one of their best players. He is a key part of their team. He is their best midfielder. Losing him would significantly weaken their squad. They are trying to win the Eredivisie title this season. They are competing with Ajax and PSV. Losing Timber in January would make winning the title much harder. But Feyenoord are also realistic. They are not naive. They understand how football works. They know they cannot keep their best players forever when bigger clubs come calling. They also understand the contract situation. Timber's deal expires in the summer. They are running out of time. If Feyenoord do not sell Timber in January, they will lose him for free in the summer. €0. Nothing. Not a single cent. From a business perspective, this would be terrible. They would lose their best midfielder and get no money to replace him. If they sell him in January, at least they get some money. The transfer fee would not be as high as it would normally be because everyone knows Timber only has 6 months left on his contract. Feyenoord have very little negotiating power. Clubs know they can just wait until summer and get him for free. So why would they pay a lot in January? The report says Timber is valued at around £26 million by Transfermarkt. But his actual sale price in January would be much lower. Maybe £15 million. Maybe £20 million at most. Feyenoord would have to accept whatever they can get because something is better than nothing. The advantage of selling in January is that Feyenoord would get the money immediately. They could use some of that money to buy a replacement. They could strengthen other areas of the squad. They would have some financial flexibility. The disadvantage is losing him mid-season. This disrupts the team. It weakens them at a crucial time when they are competing for the title. The players have to adjust to playing without him. It could cost them the championship. My guess is that Feyenoord would prefer to keep Timber until the end of the season. Let him help them try to win the title. Then let him leave in the summer. But if a club comes in with a reasonable offer in January, Feyenoord will seriously consider it. They might decide that getting some money is better than getting nothing. They will have to weigh up their sporting ambitions against their financial reality. Timber himself will also have a say in this. If he wants to leave in January, he can push for it. He can tell Feyenoord that he wants to take this opportunity now rather than wait. Players have power when their contracts are running down. Feyenoord would find it very hard to keep an unhappy player who wants to leave. Why Arsenal might not be the best move despite the twin brother factor. The twin brother connection between Quinten and Jurrien Timber makes Arsenal an interesting option on the surface. But when you dig deeper, Arsenal might not actually be the best career move for Quinten. Let me explain why. The report specifically points out that Arsenal do not really need another central midfielder right now. Their midfield is in good shape. They have quality and they have depth. Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice are the first-choice partnership. These are two world-class midfielders. Zubimendi is one of the best passers and controllers of the game in Europe. Rice is one of the best all-round midfielders in the Premier League. These two will start almost every game for Arsenal. Behind them, Arsenal have Christian Norgård as a backup. He provides cover and competition. So Arsenal have 3 good central midfielders. They do not have a pressing need for a fourth one. It is not a priority position for them to strengthen. What would this mean for Quinten if he joins Arsenal? He would be 4th choice in central midfield. He would get some game time in cup competitions. He would get minutes when there are injuries. He would get the occasional start when the team is being rotated for easier games. But he would not be playing regularly in important matches. For a 24-year-old player, this is not good. This is supposed to be your prime. These should be the years when you are playing every week and developing into the best player you can be. Sitting on the bench is not going to help Quinten's development. It is not going to help his career progression. There is also the Netherlands national team to consider. Quinten has worked hard to establish himself in the national squad. He wants to go to the 2026 World Cup. To do that, he needs to be playing regularly for his club. National team coaches want to see their players getting minutes. If Quinten is sitting on Arsenal's bench, he might lose his place in the national team. Other midfielders who are playing every week will overtake him. Compare the Arsenal situation to Manchester United. At United, the midfield desperately needs strengthening. Quinten would have a genuine chance to be a regular starter. He would get the playing time he needs. Yes, it is a bigger risk because United are not as good as Arsenal right now. But the opportunity for playing time is much better. Compare it to Borussia Dortmund as well. At Dortmund, Quinten would have a good chance of playing regularly. They would invest in him as part of their project. They would give him opportunities to develop. So while the story of twin brothers playing together at Arsenal would be lovely from a human interest perspective, it might not be the smart career move for Quinten. He needs to think about what is best for his football career, not just about being close to his brother. Playing with your brother sounds great. But if it means you are sitting on the bench watching instead of playing, is it really worth it? I would argue probably not. Quinten needs to make the decision that is best for his career, even if that means not joining Arsenal. Why Manchester United makes more sense than Arsenal or West Ham. The report concludes by saying that Quinten Timber would be better off joining Manchester United or West Ham over Arsenal. Let's explore why this conclusion makes sense. For Manchester United, the logic is straightforward. They desperately need midfielders. They want to upgrade the midfield. Ruben Amorim has made this a priority. If Timber joins United, he would have a genuine chance to be a regular starter. He would not be sitting on the bench. He would be playing important games. He would be a key part of the team. United can also offer everything else that makes them an attractive destination. Good wages. The Premier League. A huge global platform. The chance to be part of rebuilding one of the world's most famous clubs. The opportunity to potentially become a club legend if the rebuild succeeds. The only thing United cannot offer right now is Champions League football. But they are working hard to get back there. And many players are willing to sacrifice one season without Champions League if it means being part of an exciting project for the future. For West Ham, the playing time argument is also strong. If Timber joins West Ham, he would definitely play regularly. In fact, he would probably be one of the first names on the team sheet. He might even be the best midfielder at the club. He would be a big fish in a small pond. The problem with West Ham is that they are fighting relegation. This is a high-pressure situation, but not in a good way. If West Ham get relegated, Timber's career would suffer badly. Playing in the Championship when you are 24 years old and an international player is not where you want to be. West Ham also cannot offer the wages, prestige, or global platform that Manchester United can offer. They are a smaller club with fewer resources. For most ambitious players, West Ham would only be considered if there were no better options available. So in reality, Manchester United is clearly the best option for Timber among the English clubs. Arsenal cannot promise him playing time. West Ham are too risky because of the relegation battle. United offer the best combination of opportunity, prestige, wages, and platform. The only real. Retry this response paused because Claude reached its max length for a message. Hit continue to nudge Claude along, continue.